we don't often think that we may ourselves, unwittingly, through our investments, our 401k or our IRA retirement plans or other monies that we may have, may actually be supporting the very people who promote anti-family and anti-God efforts and are trying to encourage the guys in Washington to vote for them. So in this next segment right now, William and I are going to introduce a concept called biblically responsible investing. And it's about which you should know and through which you can make a difference, even though most that we send to Washington may not be upholding the efforts that we think are important. We need to make sure that we're not actually doing the same things we're upset with them about. So let's go here first. William, I've just laid out briefly the framework for what we term biblically responsible investing, sometimes referred to as clean investing. But I'd like to take you and have you define this. What do we mean by this phrase, biblically responsible investing?
Well, we view the concept of biblically responsible investing as investing that seeks to please and glorify God as a vital act of worship. In every effort to worship God through investment selection, BRI investment decision-making process applies Christian values that face shareholders and stakeholders regarding their moral beliefs, environmental, social, corporate governance, and basically applying biblical principles to them. You have to understand that there's over 2,000 plus references in the Bible about money. Okay, so all biblical wisdom comes from the Bible, and all of our assets belong to Christ. But what most people don't understand is that in their 401ks, and they don't have, a lot of people don't have control over this, but the people that do should know about it. And inside mutual fund portfolios, they don't realize that they're profiting and investing in companies that support Planned Parenthood and pornography, LGBT, anti-family. There's so much there's so much filth inside of a lot of the mutual funds out there. And people are profiting from it, they're investing in it, and they just don't know that they're doing it. And, you know, the BRI industry is about $1.5 trillion right now, and if you really take a look at the evangelicals and Christians throughout the United States, we control about $9 trillion worth of the marketplace, and only $1.5 trillion of it is actually based in BRI investing. So there's a vast upside in this marketplace. But when I sit down with a client, I ask them, "Hey, do you want your religious beliefs to be met within your portfolio?" I can tell you that over 90% of the time, people say yes. And they're shocked that their current portfolio doesn't reflect that. They're shocked when they bring it to their attention what's inside their portfolio, and so it's a way of worshiping Christ. It's, you know, we are stewards of the gifts that God gives us, and part of that stewardship is making sure that our financial decisions are based in things that are glorifying God, and the way to do that is through BRI investing. If you go to our website, grandviewassetmanagement.com, I have a whole section on BRI investing, what it means, understanding it, why it's biblically responsible to invest this way, and why people should embrace it. It's the right decision for Christians. It's good for stewardship. It meets the fiduciary standards. You know, and it's also biblically responsible investing. It's also a good business decision.
Well, it is, William, and I want to pick up and go a little bit further on that. You made a reference here that the fact that there are over 2,000 biblical references to finances, and we've talked a lot on this program and other items, and we say that the Word of God holds the principles that applies to every aspect of life. The financial part has perhaps the most references, ladies and gentlemen, to finances than almost any other topic, so it's very important. Now, William, you referenced the fact that, and I did as well, people who may be listening, most all probably have a 401k. They have some type of money set aside for retirement. Probably most of what people have are in those two areas. You also said that many of them, as we know, are not within our ability to control where those monies are invested. But if there are, I mean, in what kind of a circumstance could a person who has an 401k or an IRA, can they actually ask the people who are handling it? Can they do something about it? Or we just know about the fact that where these monies may be invested, but not able to do anything about it?
Well, in most plans, if you're 59 and a half or older, most plans allow you to roll your 401k into a self-directed IRA. So you could roll out your money out of a 401k into BRI investments, even and still contribute to your 401k, but really take control over your large asset, which is your 401k when you're 59 and a half. Some plans allow you to move it to BRI investing, even though it allows basically an open architecture where you could actually go to a custodian and actually, even though it's not in your lineup, you could maybe move to the platform where you could invest in BRI investments, even if you're under the age of 59 and a half. The other thing is bringing it to the attention of the employer, saying to the employer, hey, I'd like you to add some BRI mutual funds or ETFs to my 401k. And there's plenty of them out there. There's Eventide, Timothy Plan, Ave Maria funds. There's now new ETFs out there. A good friend of mine in California has, I think, 4 or 5 ETFs in the marketplace that are BRI investing, and they give 50% of their revenue back to spreading the word of Christ. So it's a great lineup of ETFs. But I will tell you that you, as a Christian, have the responsibility, and you do have control if you're over at age 59 and a half, of moving it to a BRI platform. You do have the right to go to your employer and say, I want this as part of my 401k. I want to be able to choose this as an investment option. So you do have the ability to ask. And there's this farce that you have to give up return once you go into your investing, and that's not true.
See, I wanted to ask you there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're saying if you are 59 and a half, as what William just said, you or above, you have the ability to take and roll over something into where you can direct it and you can choose. And you brought up that question of return, William, because many times people say, well, yeah, but I just can't go there even though it's really where I ought to go because I'm just not going to make enough in return. Can a person actually invest in biblically responsible funds, like we're talking, and still earn a competitive return on their investment?
Yes, absolutely. Now, let me say this to you. I have a full spreadsheet of all the funds that are out there. There are some funds that are much better than others. There are some funds that, in my opinion, that charge too high of fees. I think that the ETF market in the BRI world is going to explode probably in the next 4 to 5 years. So there's going to be more ETFs out there which are, less expensive to invest into. It's more passive investing as opposed to actively money management. But I think that there are some really good funds within some fund families and some that are not. So I think you have to have an advisor that understands the marketplace, that's not locked into a particular fund family. Let's say they're not just locked into Praxis or Eventide, but they're looking at all of the funds, the fund families that are out there that are doing BRI investing or ETFs, and making a selection from the best of breed, whether it's large cap, mid cap, small cap, international, or fixed income. There's really only one fixed income portfolio for ETFs, and that's through Inspire Investing. But the reality of it is that you have the ability for most people over the age of 59 and a half to control it in a 401k. And it's still, there's no taxation if you're rolling out over from your 401k into an IRA, a self-directed IRA. So, that's one of the things. If they want to get in contact with us, they can go to our website, grandviewassetmanagement.com, learn about BRI investing, and send us we can get a conversation about the portfolio and what you really should be investing in as a Christian to meet your moral beliefs, because most people don't want to be invested in pornography or abortifacient, abortion, LGBT, parades, rights, and those, things that are anti-family that are destroying the core values of what made our country great, and they don't realize they're investing in it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're just giving right now in this segment, we're just about to wrap this up here, just a very quick overview. And I know that some say, well, I'm not overly involved in investment items, but I would have put it out here, we need to be. If you are wanting to do what the Word of God says, follow a biblical worldview to your living, that involves the financial part. The biblically responsible approach to it, there are things out there, there are mechanisms out there, there are investments out there that can allow you to not support the very things that we are praying against or trying to elect people to go to Washington to vote against, we can actually have an impact ourselves, and we need to take some involvement in it. That's really what this is about. As we continue in these programs on Friday, we're going to be talking more about this area in a specific way so that you, as you're listening, can say, all right, I know what to do now, I know what the Word of God says, and I'm going to have a place to go. We're going to talk more about that, develop that as we go further.